Yo guys, what's up? Today we're going to be talking about how to start a band. Woohoo! And a very exciting topic that I know you're interested in because it is fun. Before we get into it, I just want to tell you a little about myself in case this is your first video of mine. My name is Kev Rowe. I'm a lifelong musician. I've been touring and recording for over 30 years now, and I've been in 3 bands full-time. My first band was called 5 Cubic Feet. That was kind of my high school band, but then we played in college, and then even after college we did some touring on the road and recorded a couple albums. So it was a very serious project. We broke up when I was about 27 years old, and I joined my next band, which was called Big Leg Emma. We were an Americana festival band, and I was in that band for almost 10 years. And that was wild. We toured all over the country and recorded a couple albums also. And we had a lot of fun. And then the band broke up. And just recently, I started my new band called Kev Rowe and Friends. We're out on the road, touring regionally and working real hard getting our show up to speed. Anyway, let's talk about you. So, you're out here, you love music, you play your guitar every day, or your drums, or your bass, or you're a singer, and you want to start a band. There's a lawnmower up here, and I don't want to have to put up with the noise of it, so we're gonna move. You want to start a band. Good for you. It's this little dream inside your soul where you're like, man, wouldn't it be so cool to hang out with my guys and get these songs I've got together and get out there and perform them in front of people and get feedback and just get lost in the music, and you've got all these amazing ideas, right? Great. I've got advice for you on how we're going to start your band. Tip number 1 on how to start a band. Find guys that you love to hang out with. Like, it could be the most important tip, I would say, because you're going to be spending a lot of time together. And eventually, most of the working bands that I've been a part of or been around or associated with in my 30 years as a musician, they've all become families. All the professional bands that you know on the road, in any genre. I particularly play in the Americana genre, jam band, the festival scene, but it really doesn't depend, it doesn't matter what kind of music you play, right? You could play heavy metal, punk music, indie pop, who knows? You could be in a rap band, you could be in a pop group, you could be in an a cappella group. All of those bands become families eventually. Like, you spend more time with your band on the road and in the studio than most families spend during their normal week. And that's kind of a whole other topic for another video, really, how to balance work-life balance as a musician, right? With your family, whether or not you have kids and a wife or not. But anyway, other video. Tip number 1 is find people that you love to hang out with. It's like the most important thing. Here's another reason why that's important, because you spend so much time together that you're naturally going to start making business moves together and really having to get organized with your processes and who's booking the gigs, who does your website, who does your advertising. You're going to start delegating out responsibilities amongst the band members to actually accomplish something. And or 1 or 2 guys is going to step up and be responsible for most of it. That's kind of the way that normally goes. I mean, and it's cool. It's kind of how it's the best way to get a lot of things done quickly is by one or two guys stepping up and covering the business stuff. But when you do that, naturally, there are some power dynamics that come up, and you start to see each other a little differently as a business. And when you do that, it's really important that you like each other going into building that relationship, because then you have empathy and can sympathize for each other and see where each other's coming from, because you started off as friends and you started off like actually liking hanging out together. So yeah, it's important to like each other. Let me get to tip number 2. Tip number 2, shoot, I'm on the spot, I forgot it already. Oh yes, tip number 2, I remembered. It's very important when you're putting a band together to have diverse, creative, different personalities in the band. Because you don't want everyone being the same type of guy. Like, you need some introverts, you need some extroverts, some people who like to go to bed late, some people who like to go to bed early, some people who live fast and wild, and some people are conservative and safe, or, you know, and like having unique personalities, different colors in the band makes you interesting. You want to be interesting. Like, so not only do you enjoy hanging out with each other, you enjoy the fact that you're different and can collaborate despite those differences, because that's what makes great music. Think of all the best bands that you've ever heard or been around, like all the classic bands, the Beatles, the Stones, I don't know, all of them, Metallica, Led Zeppelin, they're all, Pink Floyd, they've all these classic rock bands. They had different personalities in the band who brought something unique to the table and delivered that. And you start covering your weaknesses, like making up for your weaknesses, like where one guy is strong, the other members are weak, and where they're strong, he is weak in terms of skills and diversity and his personality. So it's super important to have all these different personalities on stage or in the studio at the same time, because then the crowd goes, look at these dudes. I love these dudes. Look at how they work together. They're all so colorful and different, but they each bring something really amazing to the band that most importantly creates something greater than the contributions of the individuals. And that's why having diverse skill sets and diverse personalities in the band can make you so attractive, because you're like sacrificing your individual freedoms for the good of the entire band. And the people see that. They go, man, these dudes are so dedicated. They're like really putting on a great show. They're writing and recording all these great songs. And it must be a lot of two things. It must be a lot of work, but it must be a lot of fun, and we appreciate them doing this. So yeah, I just wanted to mention those two things. You got to enjoy hanging out with your band, like friends and family. Like even outside of the actual work of being in a band, like traveling to shows or being in the practice room, you got to like want to hang out with them outside of that work too, because then you're like, yeah, that band thing we're doing is really fun, but we're still friends no matter what. And that helps balance out the situation. And then, yeah, the different personalities. Like, having those different personalities in the band is just whatever's best for the music, you know? And in my experience, when you get 4 guys who are all very too similar, they start rubbing each other the wrong way. And the music kind of suffers. So, yeah. Be creative with who you're picking, because it makes a difference. So if this is your first video of mine, Please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be making a whole bunch more live music, live touring, band type material here. And I appreciate you watching this. Talk to you later. Bye.